welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by a new sponsor, Body Bib. Unlike traditional bibs, the Body Bib is the only bib on the market that provides full coverage from your baby's chest to their ankles. Yes, it's as awesome as it sounds. And today's episode is also brought to you by Limerick Breast Pumps. Limerick's pumps have patented Comfort Touch technology that mimics the way your baby nurses and are all FDA qualified with the highest safety ratings. But we will hear more from our sponsors later. You can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page. If you need anything, see if you can give them any of your business, because they make this podcast possible. While you're there, scroll down to your email address and we will send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we are on Patreon. Head to the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from, and click on the Patreon link and check out the different tiers that we offer. We have a really great community going on over there, and we would love to see you there. And we're still hosting our ongoing giveaway. Leave a review anywhere you can leave a review. Send a screenshot along with your address over to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll send you a goodie bag. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
I do. And you guys, it's a negative review. Although she said, okay.
Which we feel like should be given like 3 stars, but she gave us 1 star.
Yeah. Yeah. They gave us 1 star. So here we go. I really don't think that a 21-month-old not waking every 2 to 3 hours to breastfeed is going to make it die. But these ladies do. Listen if you want to feel weird and bad about yourself and your needs, like sleeping more than 2 hours at a time at any point in 2 years. So I almost thought that maybe she was listening to this person. I don't know if it's a she or he or whatever. I almost thought they were listening to the wrong podcast because I was like, when did we ever say a baby would die if they didn't wake to eat every 2 to 3 hours at the age of 21 months?
Yeah, well, I did not. That's just why I think it's important for people to say these things, because it just, I suppose we weren't clear. And so this is why we wanted to share this review, is so that we could clarify for anybody who is also confused about what we were saying. So we were talking about a 21-month-old who isn't sleeping through the night, who is waking every couple of hours. And then we have the pediatrician or whatever saying that that's, they shouldn't be doing that and they should be sleeping longer. And the deal is that if the baby is sleeping longer than a couple of hours, that's great. Congratulations on the sleep that you're getting. That's fantastic. We all want sleep. Mm-hmm. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that I don't need sleep or want sleep, and I don't really care that much about sleep. I mean, I love sleep. It's my favorite thing. What we're saying is that there's nothing wrong with your child, is that sometimes children do wake that frequently throughout the night. They're all different. And some of them wake every couple of hours. Some don't. And that's great. Unless it's a newborn and they've been sleeping 5 hours, then you need to wake them up. But if you have a 21-month-old who is sleeping longer than a couple of hours, have a party. Sleep. We love it.
Yeah.
That is not, we didn't mean to say or to make anybody feel like they're not supposed to be sleeping longer than that. It's just that they might not. And that's normal. That means that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them.
Yeah.
So I hope that clarifies things.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to feel weird and bad about themselves.
No, I don't want you to feel weird and bad.
Sleeping.
Because of me, anyway. If you feel weird and bad, I don't know. I don't want you to feel weird and bad because of the podcast.
No.
But yeah, a 21-month-old is not going to die. I don't want anyone to think that we were saying that your almost 2-year-old child was going to die if they slept for more than two hours. Absolutely not.
No, and I don't think we ever said anything close to that. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's we're, and I do talk about this with newborns. Like if you have a newborn and you're doing things to that newborn to try to get them to sleep longer, that is not safe. And there is
That's
a reason
SIDS
why
risk.
those things are SIDS risks. Yes, exactly. Because they put them into a deeper sleep than they are able to and developmentally ready to be in. But if you have and I think everybody sort of expects that, a newborn is going to be waking frequently. But if you have a toddler that's waking frequently, even your doctor is going to say, oh, no, they shouldn't be doing that. But that's not true. That's just not true. They will. Some of them will wake frequently throughout the night to nurse. But they're not going to die if they're sleeping longer.
No.
Rest assured.
We wanted to clarify that for anybody else that might have thought that. Hopefully nobody else thought that.
No, hopefully. Yeah. No, enjoy your sleep. That's great.
I know.
You should really, really enjoy sleep. And we all want sleep. We do.
We all want it. But, funny, right after we put out that episode, whatever it was, a week or two ago, I had a consult with somebody like 2 days after that episode came out, and it was the same exact situation, minus the pediatrician thing. But it was the same situation. The baby is older, almost 2, still waking frequently during the night. And it wasn't she didn't care. That wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
The problem was that she was going out of town, and how does she for a work trip, and how does she handle that, and blah, blah, blah. Part of her was like, is this okay? Like, is it okay that he's still waking like that? And I'm like, yeah, it's totally fine. I'm like, actually, we just had this come up on by somebody else. Like, it's not uncommon. And I think the more people that you talk to, the more you're going to hear that.
Yeah. My kids were well into they were well 3 or 4 years old before they did not wake in the night to nurse.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if that's bad news. They're not going to die if they sleep longer. I wish my child would sleep longer. I knew they wouldn't die. I just that's just what they were doing.
And my kids at that age, at the age of 2, weren't nursing still. My kids weaned around like 15 months or so. But you better believe they were still up. So they weren't up to eat. They were just up, waking up, wanting to hang out with me at 2 a.m. So it is not, it's a toddler thing. I really feel like they wake up and then just need you. So sometimes you just can't get away from it. So even if you're not nursing, don't think you dodged that bullet, because it might be coming for you in a different way.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we're talking about milk supply.
We are talking about when your milk supply is fine, but we don't think it's fine. And there's very many, many situations where people might think, I'm not going to say everyone, I'm not going to use that blanket statement, but where a lot of people go, my God, is it my milk supply? Is it my milk supply that's causing this problem? Could it be that I don't have enough milk? Because it comes up a lot, right? How many times do you hear that from people? My baby's doing A, B, and C. Do I not have enough milk?
Yeah, no, I just actually had this conversation. I'll look in Instagram. I just had this conversation with somebody. They said that they were pumping and there wasn't much coming out, and how do I increase my milk supply and all of that. And they didn't know how much their baby was getting, so they were going to pump it so that they could measure it and make sure. And that whole spiral of like, well, but then that's not inaccurate. That doesn't mean that you have low milk supply.
No. Mm-mm. It absolutely doesn't. And that is one of the biggest ones we see, where you're just not sure. You're really feeling like, I'm not sure. And I remember that feeling. I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, are my babies getting enough?
Right.
And you want something concrete, right? You want something concrete to hold on to. So you pump, because that is the most concrete thing I can think of that is going to show you what your milk supply looks like. But pumping doesn't show you what your milk supply looks like. Pumping shows you how much milk you can pump. That's all.
Right. That's all.
It does not show you this is what your milk supply is. And sometimes I will still hear people say, it was suggested to me by a friend, by the internet, by my pediatrician, by my cousin, whoever, why don't you pump and see
Right.
how much milk the baby's getting? But that doesn't do that. It doesn't work like that.
That's not what happens. You don't find out how much milk you're having there. Yeah.
Mm-mm. I mean, and every once in a while I will meet that person where they're pumping pretty regularly, like maybe they're a back to work pumper or whatever. And they're pumping in place of a feeding. Their baby's at daycare. They're getting milk for the baby the next day at daycare. And they are actually pumping exactly what the baby needs. That's not uncommon that you see that. But for you to pump and go, this is how much milk I must be making, is not an accurate depiction of your milk supply with a pump. So don't ever pump some milk out and think, oh my gosh, this is all the milk I'm making. I pumped half an ounce. This is all the milk I'm making. My baby's going to starve. That's not the case. We need to look at a lot of things. I mean, pumping can tell us a little bit of the picture, but it's not the whole picture. It's just one little piece of the puzzle in a whole big puzzle. So we need to really look at all the pieces and say, okay, is this a true milk supply problem? Or is this just pumping? Is this just somebody that's got a pumping issue? We need to look at all that stuff. So that's my spiel on pumping, to know whether or not you're making enough milk. It's not a good indication, and it will stress you out. For sure.
Yeah. And not being able to pump what you feel like. I mean, if you are pumping and you need to pump for your, the next day for your baby, and you're not getting much out, that is super stressful. And we do need to do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't automatically mean that it's not in there.
Right.
It likely is in there. And not to say that low milk supply isn't a thing, because it is. It's totally a thing.
It is. It's totally a thing. But these are what we're talking about today, is things that come up that make you think that you have low milk supply, but you probably don't. It's probably just behaviors that are happening with your baby, or things that are going on, like the pumping thing, that makes you think. And I remember hearing once, and I don't know how true this is, because this is something that I learned when I was first starting out in this field, and I never really researched it to see if it was true. I don't even know how they would know. But somebody said that like the amount of milk you pump is only about half of what you actually have in the breast. So if you're somebody that's pumping like an ounce per breast, you actually are making like double that. That you have like double that in the breast.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Yeah. I mean,
it's too exact.
Right.
Because
right.
I feel like somebody who has like an oversupply, or somebody who just like happens to pump a lot of milk, I feel like their body just happens to respond really well to a pump, and it gets a lot of the milk out.
That's
like
true.
Somebody who's pumping like 6 ounces of milk, because that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And with somebody who has oversupply, they might pump 6 ounces in a sitting. But I don't believe they actually have 12 ounces.
Right. That's true. I don't know how you would know anyway. Like, exactly. How do you even know that? Yeah.
Yeah. But I do believe that for absolutely zero human beings, when you pump, you got all the milk out.
Yeah, that does not happen.
That doesn't happen. Like, there's still milk in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your pump is just not your baby. And we don't have to make this a whole pumping episode, but I mean.
But it's true.
Let's move on to another behavior. So you can make it about something else.
Make it about another behavior that babies do that make us crazy.
Yeah. I have some over here too. So we can
good. Cluster feeding.
Oh, that was going to be one of mine.
Oh, what I figured. Because that's the biggest one, I feel like. That is like the biggest one.
Because your baby is like constantly nursing. And people are like, oh my God, there's not enough milk in there. That's why they're so fussy.
That I always try to warn parents, like this is the biggest time where people question their milk supply.
Yeah.
But you have to look at the whole picture. Is your baby only doing this a certain time of day? Then, I mean, if you had low milk supply, they'd be doing that all day long, right? They'd be cluster feeding all day if you had low milk supply. But if they're feeding fine the whole rest of the day, and then, 8:30 p.m. hits and they're acting like a crazed maniac who just cannot get enough to eat, really a lot of it, like we've talked about this in like cluster feeding in other ways too before. I know we've got an episode on it. It is like, it's the worst, but Babies just want to be on you. They're not even eating half the time. They just want to be attached to you.
Yeah.
It's not even a hunger thing necessarily.
Yeah, but it's confusing too, because when you have like a baby, when you say somebody's saying like, oh, if your baby's breastfeeding all the time, they're constantly nursing. Well, what does that mean? Because when you have a newborn, it feels like they're constantly nursing.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say like, oh, well, but, because it just feels like they're cluster feeding all the time.
Right.
So like even if they were frequently nursing like all day, it still might not mean and there's anything with your milk, because you might just feel like they're just nursing all the time.
And sometimes too, like if you don't have a lot of education around it, I'll talk to parents and be like, the baby's eating all the time. Okay, what's all the time? Like every 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal. That's pretty normal. And they're like, oh, okay. Not that they're like, oh, well, screw this. I'm never doing it again. It's more like, oh, all right. Like, okay, so that's normal. Okay, I thought it was too frequently. Especially when you're coming out of the hospital and the hospital tells you your baby's going to eat every 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then your baby cluster feeds, or they're eating more frequently than every 3 hours or whatever. And then you're like, well, what's going on? Do I have a supply issue? Like, are they not getting enough? I can't put them down. What's happening? Are they not getting enough to eat? Seems to be fussy all the time. And always the first thing is it certain time of day? Is it all day? Like, what does this look like? I need to know, what does this look like? Because that'll tell me, is there milk supply problems or is there not milk supply problems? But more often than not, it's just a cluster feeding thing, which is a newborn behavior. That is a normal newborn behavior. And after several weeks, they don't do it anymore. But it's a pretty normal thing that you see when they're very newborn. Doesn't mean you have, in fact, it's going to increase your supply, if anything.
Yeah.
So I know
people just let them.
Yeah,
like let them
do it.
Do whatever they got to do, because that'll up your supply.
People are like, oh my God, they're cluster feeding. I don't have enough milk. But then they supplement them instead of letting them nurse.
Right.
And it's but nursing will give them more milk, which will increase your supply. So we're just working against the grain here, which is hard. All right. What do you got?
I have, what? Do you want to take a break?
Yeah, I'm thinking we maybe should before you do yours.
All right. We can do that.
You think? Okay.
Yeah. Yes. I'm just going to stall here for a minute. So saying yes and while I try to find what that stupid piece of paper is. Oh, here it is. All right. We can now be right back. Let's see. No, that's the wrong one. Okay. Today's episode is brought to you by Limerick Breast Pumps. Do you know what really sucks? Pumping. Well, Limerick has taken the pain and stress out of pumping. Limerick Pumps allow moms to get their milk in comfort and ease with the FDA's highest safety rating. Less stress and better results. Limerick's cups come in one size, comfortable. Other companies' cups are made of hard plastic, are complicated, and a pain to find the right size. But Limerick's pumps are the softest, most comfortable pumps on the market, have patented comfort touch technology that mimics the way your baby nurses, and are all FDA qualified. Limerick pumps are the only pumps to offer a micron filter, which protects both mom and baby with the cleanest system overall. No bacteria, viruses, or fluid enter the motor. Pumping doesn't have to suck. Check out the entire line at limerickinc.com. That's LIMERICKINC.com and use code BADASS for 25% off of your purchase. And today's episode is also brought to you by our new sponsor, Body Bib. As parents, we all know that self-feeding is a crucial milestone for our baby's development. But let's face it, it can get messy. That's where the Body Bib comes in. Unlike traditional bibs, the Body Bib is the only bib on the market to provide full coverage From your baby's chest to their ankles, say goodbye to stained clothes and endless cleanups. Designed to fit babies from 9 to 24 months, the body bib features adjustable snaps at the neck, wrists, and ankles, allowing it to grow with your little one. Its innovative design ensures that your baby stays clean and comfortable while they explore and enjoy their self-feeding journey. And here's the best part. The body bib is machine washable. No more worrying about tough stains or lingering smells. Simply toss it in the washing machine and it's ready for another round of delicious meals. Whether it's mashed potatoes or pureed peas, the body bib has got you covered, quite literally. Let your baby explore their culinary adventures with confidence, knowing that the body bib will keep the mess at bay. So join the thousands of parents who have embraced the body bib and witness the magic of mess-free self-feeding. Visit their website at bodybib, that's B-O-D-Y, bib.com, and use code BADASS for 30% off of your order. And you can say hello to stress-free mealtime. That's a deep discount, yo. So you should go and get that. And
it is a good one.
And the big thing too is we are currently running a giveaway on Instagram and Facebook for the body bib. So head over to the Badass Breastfeeder and check out the giveaway for the body bib there and enter by commenting. And we'll announce a winner later. And our sponsors and the promo codes can be found in our show notes under this episode, wherever you are listening from, and also at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, where you will find all of our other episodes and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne.
Abby and I decided we want our husbands to have a body bib.
Oh, yeah. And she was like, yeah, people ask that all the time. Which I think is awesome.
Don't we have adult ones? Come on.
I think, yeah, we should. I mean, like, why? I mean,
yeah.
Mostly, I mean, actually just turned 9 and Jack is 11. I mean, like, they're always wiping their hands on their shirt, which is fine if you have something you just put that on and wipe your hands on it.
I know. Come on.
Anyway, okay, so my thing is soft feeling breasts.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because I hear that a lot. Because people are like, oh, I had my baby, my milk came in, I was feeling really full, and now it's going away. It's going away. They feel soft. It doesn't feel like there's anything in there anymore. How do I get my supply back?
That's a good one. Yep.
Yeah, and so that's actually quite normal. You don't want to be engorged for a long term. That's just you only feel that way in the beginning, because your body is like, okay, wait, how much milk should I make? How much, what do we need? Do we have 3 babies? Do we have 2? Do we have 1? What do we have? And your body's going to make sure that you have enough. And so when the baby's like, or when your body is like, okay, all right, we got 1 baby, the baby's drinking this. All right, so now we're going to adjust because we don't need all this extra milk. All that extra milk is not helpful. And so your breasts go back to feeling pretty soft, which is what you want. And that doesn't mean that it's going away. Your milk does not come in, have you feel engorged, have your baby eating and everything's going fine and then just go away.
I have had people call me panicking and be like, my milk is gone. It was fine yesterday.
Yeah.
Now it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Overnight.
Yep.
No, overnight it went away.
Yep. I've had people, I've heard midwives and doulas say this.
Wow.
And it does not happen. That's not a thing.
No, it doesn't.
It just doesn't go away overnight. Your body doesn't make decisions like that. Just one day. Okay. Yeah. Gone.
I just got a message from somebody the other day. She's like, I quit breastfeeding 8 months ago and I was leaking yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, we know that's a thing. We know that can happen. And yeah, people go, oh my God, my milk's gone in a day. Like it takes a lot longer than that for your supply to decide it doesn't want to be around anymore. So your supply is never going to just dry up in a day, just out of nowhere. And soft breast is definitely not a sign that there's no milk because your body needs to adapt to a supply. You want to feel normal.
Yeah.
You do. You want to feel just normal again.
Yeah. And it just all comes down to not knowing. Because your milk comes in and you can feel it. You can feel that there's something different. They're filled up now. And then when it goes back to feeling normal, it's like, well, if it feels normal, then normally I don't have milk in my breast. And so normally if they feel normal, then that means they don't have any milk in there. It's just because we don't know. Nobody fucking tells us.
Right. Nobody knows. Yeah. So my next one, growth spurts. Growth spurts happen. And this is usually a time because your baby during a growth spurt will be extra fussy. And all babies really handle growth spurts differently. So I'm not going to say your baby's going to absolutely act like this, but babies can be a little bit fussier during a growth spurt. Babies might eat more frequently during a growth spurt because they're growing. That's what a growth spurt is. They're growing. And it might last a day or two, couple of days, and then they're back to where they were before. But during this time period, with the baby eating more frequently or seeming hungrier, people often question their milk supply. So growth spurts happen according to, I just like Googled it, and you will see it like in different places or whatever. But growth spurts usually 2 to 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, and 6 months. That is kind of, and give or take, doesn't have to be like, oh, my baby's 2 weeks today, he's going to start his growth spurt. Like, it doesn't work like that. But somewhere like within those time frames, you might see your baby eating a little bit more frequently, being a little bit fussier. Doesn't mean that your supply is gone or lower or dwindling or any of that stuff. It probably just means that your baby's going through a growth spurt, and they will increase your supply during that time frame as well. But babies will absolutely be a time where people will question it.
Yes. I have one. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if we kind of already covered this, but like taking a bottle after nursing.
No, we didn't.
I guess we didn't really cover that. We were talking about pumping, but this is different. Like, because a lot of people were like, well, I've been supplementing, and we all get into the I was there too. We all get into the supplementing trap where you're supplementing and then your body is not, because the baby is suckling from a bottle and not your breast, then your body's struggling to make milk. But that can happen eventually, but usually not immediately. But people will say, well, I gave my baby a bottle after we nursed, and like she just took it, like she was still hungry and she drank it all, and so therefore I don't have enough milk. And yeah, so this is also not your baby, that sucking reflex, especially if your baby's just like on their back and you have the milk, the bottle in their mouth. They don't have a choice. They just drink it. It's like drink or die. No, sorry. I don't want to say die about babies. No, because no. But they can't. The drink or choke, cough, whatever. They just, there's no choice. The milk is just coming. And they're just sucking. You stick your finger in their mouth, they suck on that too.
Yeah.
They just can't stop suckling. So just because your baby finished a bottle after they were done nursing does not mean that they were hungry or that you don't have enough milk in your breasts. That's not how it goes.
Right.
Do you want to add more things to that?
I was thinking I might, but I kind of feel like
you think that's enough?
I kind of feel like you got it, because that's really the bottom line. Like, just because they took a bottle is not a good indication of what they're doing when they're at the breast.
No, and this is why babies are so easy to overfeed, because they're just sucking. Yeah. And here comes milk, so I'm swallowing.
And a lot of this comes from us not really knowing what their cues are in the beginning, because babies do like to suck. So they'll feed and they'll feed fine and they'll get what they need, but they still look like they want to suck. And they'll be like, people are like, oh, but the baby's still making movements like they're still hungry. So I just gave them a bottle instead. Put them back on the breast. But if you think, because people go, oh, they must not have gotten enough, so I'm just going to give them a bottle, and then they took the whole bottle. But what would happen if you just put them back on the breast? What would they do? I would bet anything they'd probably go back to sleep because that's what they wanted to do. They wanted that comfort and that soothing to go back to sleep. They didn't need more food necessarily. But
right, well, it's because and then that's where the fussy baby thing comes in too.
Yeah.
Because they're fussy. Well, they were fussy after we were done nursing, and so I fed them the bottle and they drank it. And so that means that they needed it.
Babies, because fussy babies was on my list. And babies are fussy for lots of reasons. They really are. They're fussy for a lot of reasons.
Fussy.
It doesn't mean that they're hungry every time. I think we expect them to just eat and go right back to sleep. Or eat and I don't want to say play because newborns aren't really playing, but, eat and then just do something else. They're not expecting them to just be fussy. And some babies just are. Some babies are just a little fussier at certain times. And if that's your baby, it doesn't mean they're still hungry. It could just be something else that they need. Maybe they need to be rocked. Maybe they need to walk. Maybe they're bored with what they're looking at. Maybe they need a new diaper. Who knows? But it doesn't always mean that they need more food. But for some reason, we always go to that. Oh, they're still hungry. Oh, they're still hungry. You don't have enough milk. But you probably do. And we're just not reading our baby's cues well because they're new. They're brand new. And we're trying to figure out what the heck they need.
Yeah. They can't tell us. So it's just like a guessing game. It's like a game of Clue.
Yeah.
Well, they're not being very clear about it.
No, they're not. Damn it, babies. Being all confusing and everything.
It is. They're very confusing.
They are.
They just need to get their shit together.
So pooping and peeing well. If your baby is pooping and peeing well, they're getting enough to eat. And that is pretty much the end of the line for that one. And I will ask people that all the time. The first thing I'll ask, if they're calling or their biggest concern is, I don't know if the baby's getting what they need, then I'm going to say, are they pooping and peeing? Are they pooping and peeing well? Yes. Okay. Then they're getting what they need. You're changing a lot of diapers, your baby's getting what they need, regardless of whether or not you believe it. That is more concrete proof for you that they're getting what they need to get, as if they're pooping and peeing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have another one?
Let's see. So I have no leaking.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if people think that because some, you hear about people leaking and sometimes people are like, oh my God, I'm not leaking. Does that mean I'm not making enough milk?
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all.
You're just lucky.
Some people just don't leak. I never did really. I did once when Exley slept for like a super long time. I woke up and there was a puddle there, but
that's the only time I think I did leak was like during the night. Yeah, during the night.
Some people are just
leaking.
constantly leaking. The milk's just constantly coming out.
Mm-hmm. But it doesn't. It's no indication of your supply.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, leaking's a very individualized thing. I don't think, like I said, I think I only leaked like during the night. And I mean, I made milk for twins and I wasn't like leaking.
Yeah.
So it's a very individualized thing. And I think if you don't leak, you're pretty lucky. And some people just leak a lot, or they'll leak in the beginning and then they don't leak it. They'll stop leaking and they go, oh my God, my supply gone. No, we can't like judge it on stuff like that. It is just the way your body's reacting to things. Doesn't mean your supply is gone.
And it will. People will be like, yeah, plenty of pee diapers, plenty of poop diapers, gaining weight. But I just don't think my supply is, I just think it's, dwindling. It's physically impossible for you to be feeding your baby and have them gain weight, but they're not eating. They're not getting anything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So my last one is sleeping. So I do want to like explain what I mean by this, because sometimes I will have situations where a baby is a pretty decent sleeper, like, giving like a 4 or 5 hour stretch at night. And parents are concerned that the baby's not getting what they need. And I'll be like, especially if it's maybe an older baby, like 4, 5, 6 months, be like, that baby will wake up. That baby will tell you if they need to eat, for sure. They're not going to just sleep. Your 6-month-old is not going to sleep a 5 or 6 or 7 hour stretch if they're hungry. They're going to wake up and they're going to want to eat. Mm-hmm. So that is not a good indication at all about what your supply is like. So, and usually we see stuff like that happening when it's like, you get those distracted babies that aren't eating much during the day. Mm-hmm. And people go, oh, is it my supply? Do I not have enough milk? What's going on? It's like, no, that's usually, we can explain that away with having a distracted baby. If babies are just kind of like, eating, snacking, get babies that like do some of that snacking when they get to be a little bit older, but still sleeping fine, your baby is going to wake up if they're hungry. You're not going to get a baby that's just going to sleep, an older baby especially, that's just going to sleep away if they're hungry. Mm-hmm. They're going to wake up and they're going to let you know that they need to eat if it was a supply issue. So it's, people tell me, oh no, the baby sleeps well at night. Okay. I don't think it's a supply problem. I don't. That is another thing that it's going to tell me, if it's a baby that's like doesn't have a disruption in their sleeping pattern all of a sudden. Yeah. I think that makes more sense when I say it that way. Because of that. So yeah. Mm. So if you are experiencing any of these things and you're like, oh my gosh, I think it's my supply, it probably is not. Your supply is probably absolutely fine. It's probably just something else that's going on that's making you think like, is it something with my supply? But your supply is probably just fine. So I don't want anybody to worry about their supply today. No more supply worries. It's all done. We made it better.
Yeah, we put that to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.